Slitterhead is one of those games where people joked about that gaming outlets will hate it, while in the next 5 years it will become some kind of cult classic with lots of video essays about it and how it was a misunderstood masterpiece. Why wait 5 years for that when you can do it now though? That's what I thought. Actually, I don't think at all. You are a dog, or a human, or what are you really? I hope everyone asked themselves that question at least once in their life and came to a conclusion that made you happy. Or maybe it didn't make you happy, so there's still time for you to find yourself. Here, you are some kind of spirit, a little tiny warm looking thingy that can possess other bodies. Are you an alien? Maybe even a time traveler? Why? How? Those things will be answered in time, no worries. Oh wow, I wonder where I have seen this kind of mechanic before. Side jacking? That sounds quite different from the jacking I do. Any other Mega Man fans here so people won't get the wrong idea?
Jack in! Mega Man! Power up!
The reason why people that like underrated games were so hyped for this one was that the guy behind little franchises such as Silent Hill, Siren and also Gravity Rush was making this. I bet you never heard of those. Sidejacking is basically being able to see the world through the eyes of someone else, mostly undead things. Here it's looking through the eyes of a parasite living instead of someone else, not too far away from what can happen in real life. Mostly only when you're an animal or an insect though. Would be crazy if this could happen to me, or maybe it already happened and I just didn't notice. The mechanic is wasted in this game, please don't hurt me, but in Siren it was a huge mechanic that you needed to beat the game with. Unless you do a challenge one to see if you can beat it without that, and you had to use it lots to remember where the enemies come from, their roots, where they look, so many things to keep in mind through it. Let me show you how it's used here in a late game mission. You use it even though the enemy is straight ahead of you. Why? Sure, there are times where it's not that obvious, but overall you will never have to play detective to see where an enemy is hiding because the game often just spoils it anyways. And it doesn't matter in the end anyways. Whenever you find them, you don't get to kill them instantly for being a smart boy or girl as a reward for finding them, but you will always let them transform and then it most likely will turn into a chasing scene where you have to do the same again. The deep tactical aspect of how it was used in the Siren games is just not here. It feels like it only exists here so they could say, hey, remember Siren? We got that too, you know, by our game. Then the other main mechanic, being able to take over the bodies of other people. This one is more fun because there's no cooldown on it or anything like that. You can zoom from body to body if you want to, and it's often used in chasing scenes so you can get ahead of the monster and beat them before they can even react to it. When the game doesn't interrupt you, it's fun, but the game loves to interrupt you. It's like your mom or dad waking you up on a Sunday morning at 9 AM to eat breakfast together as a teenager. You don't want that, you want to sleep since you were awake all night gaming, but you have to do it, and then your parents will even have the nerve to ask you why you're so grumpy this morning. Everyone is grumpy if they get woken up after only 4 hours of sleep, but anyways. Especially early on, the game does not allow you to feel smart. I like feeling smart and figuring out things myself, most people do, right? Here, I have to find a way into the brothel, so I know, well, I can climb here, so let's climb. So I climb, and before I can try to climb more, the game tells me, oh, no, a dead end, where can I go now? And without letting you try to find the right way first, it shows you the big crane and screams in your face that you should check it out. Why am I not allowed to solve this myself? Why spoil me the second you can? Siren on the PS3 was already dumbed down a lot from the original, which I would have never been able to beat without a guide. If you somehow beat Siren 1 or 2 without a guide, I would think you are a liar. But that's also what's so lovely about those games. They were made to be solved together with other people, talking about the game together to see what works and what doesn't, and exchange tips and hints with everyone. It adds some extra scariness to it for people who hate being social and get scared even just saying a simple hello to others, even online, like myself. But all of that is just gone here. While I think Siren went overboard with its puzzles, Silent Hill has some of the best puzzles ever in video games, because they feel like actual puzzles. It's not just fit the green things into the green box kind of baby puzzles, but actual puzzles you have to think about, and you can solve them by yourself if you sit down and think really hard about them, most of the time, even if it takes a long time. Slitterhead is just now, we will do the thinking for you. You would not think the same guy who was behind Silent Hill and also Siren would have designed this. And I know, it's more of an action game, but even people who just want to shoot and shoot will think they're getting attacked with how brain dead the game makes you feel. It's like mommy is still flying the spoon into your mouth at the age of 42. Maybe they wanted you to feel like a Slitterhead, but even those are smarter than what the game expects of you. Let me show you this. To get somewhere where you're not allowed to be, you have to take over this guy in front of an open window since you can't go through walls. Fine, just have to sneak around a bit and then there it is, the open window. So I get out of my house and go straight through it, just for the game to tell me, what do you think you're doing? You're thinking for yourself? Disgusting. And it pulls me right back in so it can tell me to get out of the body and go through the window and tell me to possess the guy in front of the window. Come on, why? How little trust do you have in your player? Do you think I forgot what I had to do in like 2 minutes? How is this a game made for people above the age of 18? Nobody above the age of 18 would need this much handholding, would have survived till they're 18. They would have choked to death on a piece of plastic as a baby. And this is already halfway through the game pretty much. You have such a cool mechanic, but it's not used well because you keep telling me what to do with it. Let me figure out stuff too, okay? Or take a looky at this mission. You have to find a family because they're suspected of being Slitterheads, and the game throws you into a little cage and won't allow you to get out of it. Follow the marker, talk to the people around, then follow to the next marker, then talk to people, follow it to the next marker, and so on. These type of missions would have been so much better if the game just said no markers for you, go explore this place and find information that way. Because there is no reason to walk around and not follow the marker because it's a giant waste of time since there's nothing of value. All this atmosphere wasted on being as linear as possible. You can look around and enjoy the views, but that's all. Why not just put NPCs all over the place that I have to find for information? Letting me soak in this world without just making me rush through it. If you aim for a niche audience, why treat them like this? I know this will sound mean, but did they expect that the average Call of Duty player will check this game out and were afraid they would be lost if they didn't hold their hands this much? It's fine to hold your hand here and there, but this game really goes way too overkill with it. Luckily, the game does open up a bit more, mostly when you have to replay a mission. Now you actually can find different things in them sometimes, like an old lady that may give you something nice if you can find her all over the place, or little memories that give you lots of skill points. Or also shrines that make you fight a strong enemy for a new outfit. The first one you will most likely find in the game though sucks massive balls, because first off, when I activated it, I only had my random NPC character, none of my mains that easily got sliced into 2 halves. Fine, now I get my real characters back and can try again, but look at this tiny room. You have to beat this guy in a room that is clearly not made for such a big enemy. Really fun that he kills every citizen in one big swoop because of his hitboxes that are really damn big. If you look up the definition of great enemy encounter, he surely will show up in there. This was before I really got the parries down, and I think if I fought him after I became a parry god, I wouldn't have had this problem, but the fight still sucks. Call it a skill issue or whatever you want, but I actually turned the difficulty from hard to normal for this one because I had enough after dying a couple of times, then it's just so cluttered in here. I don't even feel bad for doing it. Normally I'm a stubborn idiot that will keep bashing his head against the wall till I beat it, but this fight just takes the piss out of me and myself. Well, I said myself twice, but I mean the game. It almost felt insulting that somebody thought this was a fun idea. It wasn't even fun or normal, and I was too lazy to change the difficulty back to hard after, so the rest of the mission was a total cakewalk because it feels like normal is just too normal. Change it back to hard after though, I promise. So I would recommend playing it on hard, because the tiny amount of what I played on normal made it too easy. Beating those shrines gives you a new outfit though every time, so that's cool. And also remember the grandma I talked about, you actually have to find her in every mission that she is in. Just giving you a little warning because, well, I thought she's just gonna give you a reward like a cute outfit, but no, you need to do her stuff in order to progress the game. I got to a point in the game where the game told me, hey, you need a new character to progress, but normally new characters are shown through the rarity number on these screens. And I had them all. Rarities are the humans you can take over, since they're all special and rare like a cool Pokemon card. I wish I would have known about that so I didn't have to replay the levels again to find this old lady in them, so I had to like triple replay some of them. Luckily you can just leave the mission right after you found her and don't have to finish them again. She does stand out and she's not extremely super duper well hidden most of the time, like here she was straight up at the start of a mission and even shows up in this mini cutscene, so she's basically almost impossible to miss. I missed her on my first playthrough of this mission, so well, I'm dumb or blind, maybe even both. The actual combat and movement though, pretty damn fun if only the game wouldn't also interrupt you so much. Sometimes you walk forward and you have to see a tiny cutscene, fine, no problem. Then you walk 10 steps and it's the same thing again, and again, and again. Please just let me do something on my own. It also stretches way too much towards the end despite never really evolving. Do you sometimes wish you could rewrite the past? I do, and the game allows you to do that. You can't only just possess other people or see through the eyes of a big baddie, you can even go back in time and try to change things. Most of the time here they end up being worse though. Not just story wise, but also gameplay wise, because they make you replay certain parts of each level, sometimes with big changes, sometimes with not so big changes. The first time the game makes you chase a Slitterhead through the streets makes you think, wow, this is amazing. They throw boxes around that you have to jump over or just quickly take someone else over. You can go bang bang boom from person to cut the way off, jump onto bright neon lights, it's just fun. The second time you have to do a chase like that, it makes you still think fun. Then the third time happens, and the fourth time, and the fifth time, and it makes you wish you could skip it, but no, they pretty much stay the same throughout the game, without throwing a new gimmick into the mix. Luckily, you have made it through the part where I talk about what bothered me the most about the game. Now we can talk about the more fun aspects, yay! No more talking about how much I hate handholding that goes overboard. I just had to get it out of my system because it's so ingrained into the game. You expect the game to let go of your hand after 5 missions or so, but it just never happens. Right to the very end, it keeps you on a tight leash, and normally that's my type of thing in a different sense. There's 8 characters and they all have their own 3 skills. Julie has a powerful claw attack or can revive every NPC really fast at once if you need to. Anita has poison or can mind tag every NPC to attack a monster. Alex can make a shotgun with blood, so if you use it you lose some health. The homeless dude fights with his fists and has a skill that parries and deflects for you for a short time. Triss has a little turret she can put down. The nerd can do a cool lance and Blake makes a whole minigun. Things like that. When it comes to the actual combat with their melee attacks, they're all the same pretty much, except some are weaker and some are stronger. Ido was a boxer once, so his fists pack a punch, while Tree is mostly a bit more of a supportive character who can put down her turret, but punching enemies with her is kinda not that great of an idea. Really relatable, since I don't think my punches would do much against the monster too. I recently read the word parry slop thanks to the new Doom, because nowadays people just put the word slop onto the end of every word and it means yeah, it's that word but in worse. And I wouldn't be surprised if most people would have called this game parry slop too if they played it because it's the easiest way to win the fights. When you're in guard mode, you see those bright bluey flashes when an enemy attacks, and if you press into that direction with the right stick, you parry the attack and also repel them, and if you perfectly hit the parry, you activate Witch Time. Yeah, I love Bayonetta, I wish she would step on me, sorry. It makes the game trivial at certain points because the game has around 4 types of enemies. Little maggots on the floor, walking worms that remind you of that Monster Hunter monster who looks like you know what, Slitterheads that are not totally evolved, and then the evolved Psychomantises. Oh yeah, and humans who try to shoot you, but they are not really worth talking about. That's kinda all, still more than what Resident Evil 7 had at least, you know. A parry system works best when you have tons of different enemies with different movesets. Look at Sekiro, it's fun to learn the enemies' patterns to make it look like a dance eventually. Here you have figured out the moveset of the enemies after a few missions, so whenever you have to fight a big mantis again, you know what it can do and can easily parry it. Sure, there are some more powered up versions of them and they come in different shapes, like some of them are like an octopusy, some are like zebras and so on, but it does not really change the way you fight them. You will know the animations and what attacks they're preparing and then boom, get parried, nerd. That's what the gameplay boils down to in mostly one-on-ones. If there's a whole group of enemies, the fights can get a bit chaotic and annoying with how many enemies are attacking from all sides, but here you then have to use your whole arsenal. Doing some crowd control with Alex's time bomb, where you can plant a bomb into a body and switch out and boom, tons of damage. Changing body slots so the enemies will go after that body instead of yours when you already switched back, that kind of thing. It's not ultra deep or anything like that, but it gives you enough variety with those skills that you will have fun till the game sadly overstays its welcome towards the end and you will maybe feel a bit tired fighting the same enemies over and over. They easily could have shortened the game by 2 hours and it would have been better off, because you will notice the flaws more when the game is longer, like in a relationship. But the longer the game went on, the less I used the newer characters too whenever I got them, except if the game forced me to use them. The game showers you with skill points, you will almost always have enough left over to raise your stats up and everything whenever you get one, but I never really wanted to switch away from my mains, except for when the game forced me to pick someone else. Mostly from how it felt that this story is not theirs. The game plays clear favorites on who are the real main characters, and with such a big cast it's hard not to. I always wanted to have at least Julie with me because she's the main character, first person who took over, and she plays the biggest role pretty much together with Alex, who I did not like to play as too much, but I had to play as him lots because the game told me, hey, you need to be Alex. I'm not Alex though, my name is not Alex. Donnie is the best example. You unlock him in a random side path in a mission you already played, but now when you got Edo unlocked, you can lockpick this door and go through it and went, Amogus, to his rescue. The game kinda builds this up as some kind of ultimate puzzle because Julie gets messages about this, how Edo is the only one who can unlock the special door and all that, and at first you will think it's the special door at the cold hideout or something like that because the game makes a big deal out of that door, but no, it's this random little door. And Donnie does absolutely nothing in the story. He's a random nerd who collects UK rock CDs and is probably getting bullied at school for playing on his Switch too much. He has no relevance to the story whatsoever, but you have to unlock him to progress, even if he plays zero role, no role, nada, spielt absolut keine Rolle. He would have been cooler if he was an optional character you can find, except for one little piece of dialogue where he goes like, hey, remember this? And then the ghost spirit of your brain goes, oh holy shit, that will solve everything. That's his biggest role. He says one sentence. Nothing else he does plays a role. Then there's Blake who just randomly joins your party. You finish a completely unrelated mission where he never shows up in and suddenly boom, here's Blake for you. The budget the game had shows itself the most at the story bits. You can already tell it was as low as my allowance as a little kiddo by how often the game makes you walk through the same areas and how often you have to replay certain missions to stretch the game, but they couldn't even get the voice actors to do more than around 20 lines of dialogue over the course of the whole game. Listen to Blake, all he can say is white, all white, white.
Right. Alright. Right. Right. Alright.
Alright, okay, I got it alright. I also love how he plays almost no role and was probably thrown in for the Americans who miss Ethan Winters, making fun of bad sci-fi movies and bad movie plots and making me wonder if he's a bit self-aware while saying this, because I could say the same about the game he is in. You can talk to your characters on the talking screen and they all only have like one single line to say here and it's annoying. It would have been better if they just didn't talk at all in this part. They can talk in their cutscenes or missions or whatever, but having to hear the same line over and over whenever you talk to them in the confidence of their own home just makes you wish the game would be Pokemon instead, so it would have none at all. Even though it can actually feel like Pokemon at times, like this scene where Slitterhead and his girlfriend try to protect each other and there's dialogue in the subtitles, but then there's just no actual talking. This scene just loses all of the little impact it had without any kind of voice acting. Are you telling me you couldn't just quickly have some person on the development team just voice them for a little bit of a bonus? Even shitty voice acting here would have made it better instead of having none. The only cutscenes that really get to have real voice acting are the pre-rendered ones, and those look great, mostly because it's the monsters transforming and everything or other cool shit happening, and if an action game lacks cool action, then what's the point? Despite that, I like talking to the people on the talking screen. There's something wholesome about having so many different types of people talking to a worm that is like inside of their head and being friends with it. Julie was just a random girl walking at a little store. Anita is a prostitute. Edo was a pro boxer who got hit too hard and lost it all thanks to alcohol and is now homeless but still sees life as a positive thing. Tree was a member of the cult, Blake is a typical marine guy from America, and Betty somehow is a granny who somehow already met the worm when she was young. Somehow. I like to say that word. Somehow. They all kinda make you feel more human too, teaching you about human life, or maybe some of them will also make you feel inhuman. My favorite one was probably where Anita invites Donnie over because she needs someone to help her decide who to marry her in her video game, and he looks like someone who plays those kind of games a lot, right? No judging here, but you know, look at him, he's a nerd. I obviously picked a childhood friend, that's who should always win. Also, I do not know the age of consent here, but Anita, you're on thin ice teasing him like this, okay? And the overall story turns into one of, could a world exist where we both can survive in? Can we find a way to be friends with these Slitterheads, who kinda need to eat humans to survive? What's up with the code? There's Slitterheads and humans in it, who even love each other. Can it really work out? Is the code hiding something more? What is Alex's deal and why does he hate them that much, since he wants to eradicate every single one of them with his own hands? It's a good enough story for the kind of action game it is, but don't expect something that delves deep into the psychological aspect of it. It's all fairly shallow and surface level, and maybe even will make you think really, it's trying to pull the what if the humans are the real monsters actually card. Towards the end there's some cool stuff happening though, but I won't spoil it, but let's just say it really jumps the shark and I actually have no idea why the game ends with a plane crashing into the city. Maybe it's a sequel bait ending, maybe they just thought it's cool, who knows? Is it even the end of the game? Maybe there's more to it, like multiple endings that will make you think you totally wasted your time and you would have been better off just watching them on YouTube? Who knows? I feel like if you want a story that tries the kind of story where you have monsters and humans trying to coexist at the same time, go watch or read Hunter x Hunter and enjoy the camera and arc. It will be worth it, mostly because you can see my wife. Yes, I would marry an ant. What do you mean that's the cat girl and not an ant? You know, watch it. I love the look of the game, but that comes from a love for the whole Kowloon walled city look, where you have all of these tiny hallways with tons of flats left and right, the neon signs on a busy main street, little stalls everywhere and everything feeling so dense. I would absolutely hate living here in real life, but in fiction, probably a top 5 setting for me. I have to say sorry, since my PC isn't the best, so I can't really do 4K videos and can't record in the highest super duper bitrate, not like YouTube would help with that anyways, so at times it will look fairly pixelated in the footage. That's my fault, not the game's. These are the kind of graphics I would be satisfied with for the rest of my life, pretty much. After this point it feels more like, what's the point? Does the game really need ray tracing and all that fancy smancy stuff? When I look at it, I don't think, wow, I really wish it would look better. In a way that's high praise for a game that sadly didn't have a lot of budget, right? The only thing that sticks out in a bad way is the way normal NPCs look sometimes. Some of these faces just make me laugh with how they look, and they're also not great at showing emotions. How could I take this scene seriously when my character looks at a monster like this? The main characters and all the monsters or evil guys look great. They really put effort into designing those, and it makes sense that most of these NPCs wouldn't get the same love, but you take over them a lot. So couldn't they have tried to make them look a bit more lively, just a tiny bit? They look like clay dolls at times. You know who also worked on Silent Hill before? Yep, Akira Yamaoka, who is best known for it after all, aside from other classics such as Rumble Roses. I totally mostly remember that game for the music he did in it, not for other reasons. And he never disappoints, right? And same here. Like always, I have no idea how to talk about music, so I can't say too much, but it perfectly fits the atmosphere the game wants you to have. And it's Akira Yamaoka, what more can I say? What more do I have to say? I think that's all of it, kinda. Except that I also have to say the game is not scary. I am the biggest scaredy cat in the world, and people would make fun of me if they would see the kind of stuff I normally get scared of. I'm not the type of person who says the piano in Mouse 64 was scary though, so please don't get the wrong idea. My heart throbs way too much when playing the Silent Hill or Siren games because of those ultra tense atmospheres and just get to me. I can't even explain why. I mean, some people can explain it because they're horror games, but even in rooms where I feel safe, I don't feel safe, but here, you just feel too powerful to ever really feel scared. Slitterhead obviously goes for a completely different approach and isn't meant to scare the shit out of you, but it would have been nice to have a few moments that try to scare you though. There's this scene towards the end that nerfs your character, and it kinda is trying to be like, hey look, there's some backstory to one of the baddies and he went through abuse and everything, but that's only the only part in the game where it feels they were trying to do something like that, and it's not even working. Silent Hill 2 had the endless stairs that make you think, wow, I'm scared, where's my mommy, without anything happening even on those stairs. Here, it's just walking through a hallway that repeats itself after walking a bit and having to listen to a few snippets of dialogue. It sounds like I'm taking a huge dump on the game, but despite all of these flaws, I still think it's a solid 6 out of 10, but on a scale where the numbers really matter. I had my fun, I love the atmosphere and the actual combat and movement, the story made you want to play and see where it goes even if it may be full of cliches, but maybe most of the problems of the game don't stem from the low budget, it stems from the handholding and never letting the player break out of this cage. You can really feel the lack of budget at most of the edges of the game, but despite that, I feel if they cut out so much of the repeated mission stuff towards the end of the game, they could have used some of the time on these little things that would have made the game shorter, but also better. You just wish it would end already after you reach a certain point. If you decide to buy it and play it yourself, you will probably remember these words when you get to these missions that are just the same over and over, almost like my mundane lifestyle. It's worth playing for people who love getting clear instructions and people who enjoy some cool action. If you can stomach all of these issues I had with the game, just don't expect a masterpiece or a totally underrated gem like Redditors call those kind of games. It lives on the coolness and look of the game, and also the combat till you have to fight too much. wait for a sale too. It sounds mean to say this because I want games like this to succeed, but you know, money does not grow on trees, right? I would feel bad if I told people, hey, go buy this game, it's super duper cool, and then they do that and think they wasted 40 bucks and I'm the culprit that you suddenly can't pay your rent anymore this month and make me work for it. I totally don't want that to happen, or maybe I do, maybe I want to work for you. With that said, I hope you enjoyed the video and will have a good day, a good night, or whatever fits your time zone, and maybe I'm being possessed by some kind of big shot CEO at a big gaming company who hates smaller budget games, so I have to talk badly about those, so people will just buy the mainstream games like mine. I love being a CEO, yay, lots of money. Actually, I'm just a normal guy, I think, unless life has bigger things planned for me, but I don't think it does. Bye bye.